Now, today we're talking about childhood cancer. Today is the International Childhood Cancer Day, and the theme overall for this year is better survival. So the topic is advocacy and awareness, fighting against childhood cancer. Now, unfortunately, health systems, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, seem to be struggling. And for most Africans, getting access to healthcare is a challenge. Now, according to the World Health Organization, 1.1 million new cancer cases happen each year in Africa. And there is a rather large fatality number of about 700,000. Projections are showing that Africa will account for nearly 50% of the global childhood cancer burden by 2050. And to drive the conversation today, we have Korede Akindele. He's the head of programs, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. Now, this foundation is a nonprofit organization that helps to bring together children and young persons and offer them support, particularly when they suffer from cancer. And our second guest is Dr. Fumilayo Fagbemide. She is a childhood cancer advocate. Welcome, Doctor, and welcome, Korede.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for good morning.
All right, and let's dive straight into the conversation. I'm going to ask you this, Doctor. Can you tell us a bit more about International Childhood Cancer Day and why is it so important that we raise awareness around this area?
Thank you for having me, first off. International Childhood Cancer Day is a day set aside, which is today, February 15th. A day set aside to raise awareness for childhood cancers, because in our environment and mostly in low and middle income countries like Nigeria, people don't really believe that cancer exists, especially in children. You know, when they hear cancer and they hear children, they say, oh, they go forbid, I rebuke it and all of that. But these things really do happen. Children really do come down with cancer. And if people are not aware, if they don't know, then when it happens, they don't know what to do, which is part of what is contributing to the increase in death rates in children with cancer. So one day is not enough to, create awareness, but like whenever we can, we try as much as possible to tell people, let people know, raise our voices and let people be aware, like children really do come down with cancer. And when they do, it's curable, it can be treated, but they need to know first that children can come down with cancer. So International Childhood Cancer Day is like a global initiative that has been set aside to create awareness, let people know from all over the world that children do come down with cancer and the signs to look out for and what to do when it happens, basically.
Korede, could you tell us the role that your organization actually plays when it comes to raising awareness about cancer in children? You're muted, please.
Oh, thank you so much, Zibby. Okay, for the Dorcas Cancer Foundation, one of the roles that we play is what we are doing here, raising awareness and allowing the general public to know about childhood cancer. Like what Dr. Fagbemide said, so many people do not believe that children do have cancers. And the most painful thing about this is it presents itself like every other illness in children. And so that's why it's quite alarming, and then what we are saying. But for us, what we try to do is awareness, is education and advocacy. And we do this across all board. I mean, from parents to caregivers, and even to the primary healthcare workers, because they are the first point of contact when a child is sick. I mean, before you could take your child to a pediatrician, you want to go to a general practitioner, you want to go to a primary health care. And so most times people will tell us, you know what, I've taken my child to this hospital, they've treated malaria for 6 months and nobody told me anything. So how come after 6 months this is it? So what we try as much as possible to do in times like this is to make sure everyone is educated. Everyone is aware, not just the parent only, the caregivers, the doctors, everyone. So for us, that's what we are doing, education, awareness, advocacy. And the unique thing is the International Childhood Cancer Day 2023 is focused on caregivers. Caregivers, which consists communities. caregivers. And so you also, Zibby, you are a caregiver because you have children around you. So you need an understanding about cancer. When you see something strange in the child, you can easily, you won't tell the mother, you know what, this child, but you can just take this child to the hospital, let them do a proper check. So that's why this year ICCD is so important.
Right. Dr. Fumilayo, can you tell us about the progress that has been made when it comes to cancer research across the world and how it's impacting the lives of children here in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you for that very, very important question, because that's also part of what Dorcas Cancer Foundation is also doing. Every year we fund research because there's really been no specifics when it comes to cancer in children, and if we don't research, if we don't find more about what is causing the problem, you wouldn't know the answer to it. And research has helped not just to answer questions, but also create more awareness, because when you, like for the pediatric, the Look Again campaign, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation that we do, there was a research first. It was during the research we found out like even healthcare workers are not aware that children come down with cancer. When we shared questionnaires, we tried to ask questions, we discovered there's a lab somewhere, which after the research, we're able to, deal with. That's why we keep going back there, teaching them, telling them more about childhood cancer, which is what is also happening globally. When other people, they are at an advantage kind of, because they have more modern equipment, they've done research, they found their research well, so they have answers to questions that will lead to solutions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Unlike in Africa here, so what they're trying to do now, also part of the 2023 International Childhood Cancer Day, to help fund research in Africa, let's ask questions. When we ask questions, that's when we're able to profile a solution to be able to deal with the problems that we've discovered during the research. So I think research is actually going a long ways, helping us, find out what the problem is and profile solutions. And that's what is helping us in Africa now, because we have more children diagnosed. Because yes, research is being done. We know these areas, okay, no, they don't know about cancer. They have this problem. So after the research, we find out the problem. That's when you can profile a solution. But if you don't even know there's a problem somewhere, how would you be able to help them? So that is part of what research is all about. And that is what we have tried to do even in Africa. That's why we have more incidence rates. I don't know if you noticed that it's been increasing. The incidence rate for last year is better than the one for this year, because people are now aware. People are going to the hospital when they find out, like, okay, my child is sick, I need to take this child to the hospital. But if they don't even know what to look out for, they won't be able to take that child to the hospital, and that child dies undiagnosed.
So speaking about what to look out for as a parent or a guardian, a caregiver, whatever the term that an adult would be described with, what can you look out for in a child? Just like Korede stated, some people have repeatedly been to hospitals and they're misdiagnosed. Their kids are being treated for malaria, and then 6 months down the line, they realize it's something more severe. What should parents be looking out for in their children?
Okay, so there are different body parts that consist of various cells, yeah? The symptom that you would see when the child comes down with cancer of the eye is going to be different from the one you're going to come down with when it comes down with cancer of the kidneys. But generally, parents are they are very vigilant. If we keep treating the same thing over and over again, like let's say for instance, cancer of the eye is called retinoblastoma. That's one of the commonest childhood cancers. Your child is having this cat eye reflex. Your child is complaining of eye pain. He can't see well. That's a red flag. I am not going to give that child herbal concussion or just dismiss the symptom. I'm not going to do that as a parent. But if I take the child to the hospital and treat for malaria on the first try, second try, and the child keeps complaining like, oh, mommy, now is aggravated, like, oh, mommy, when the light is on, I can't see properly, or in the dark, it's difficult for me to see, or I'm not seeing properly in class, that's a red flag. I am not saying that is cancer, but if you take the child to a primary healthcare center, for instance, and they treat for malaria, typhoid, and all of that, and then the next minute the child is complaining of the same thing, that's a red flag to like ask further questions, like, I've taken this child here, it's not working, I need to take the child elsewhere. That's for the eye. Let's say, for instance, now for for nephroblastoma, that's cancer of the kidney. Most parents, we discovered that most children that come down with cancer of the kidney, it was the mother that discovered, maybe while bathing the child, she noticed, oh, this child's stomach is abnormally hard. The child's stomach shouldn't be that hard, and the child the tummy is bigger, it feels bloated, or his pee. This child pee should be clear. Why does he have a streak of blood in his pee? That's a red flag. That's tilting towards cancer of the kidney. So it depends on the body part. So generally, we just tell parents and caregivers and people, if your child keeps coming down with fever or is falling sick every two days, and you keep doing the same thing and it's not getting better, that's a red flag. Take the child away. Like, you are entitled to seek a second opinion. If a doctor is treating you for one thing and the child is not getting better, it's your right. You can ask the doctor to refer you some other place politely, and even you yourself as a parent, you can seek help some other place. You don't have to stay put there because, oh yeah, this person is treating the child, but the child is not getting better. So as a child, as parents, we always encourage parents, always seek second opinion. If it doesn't feel right, if you feel like the child is not getting better or there's a red flag somewhere, seek second opinion. Is your right. It's something you're entitled to. You can always have that.
Okay, we're speaking about Childhood Cancer Day. Our guests are Dr. Fumilayo Fagbemide, medical doctor and childhood cancer advocate, and Korede Akindele, head of programs for Dorcas Cancer Foundation. We're taking a quick break, but we'll continue the conversation on the other side. As always, you can let us know your thoughts. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. And you can also post a comment underneath the live stream on YouTube. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1.
Future Forward Banking.
Back on in 2 minutes.
Music is live and life is music. Go by the name Sam. Don't touch that dial. What does future forward banking mean to you? Speed, innovation, convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting service that is designed just for you? Yeah, we thought you might like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providence Bank for you to take care of your daily experiences. At Providence Bank, we believe that banking should be all about you and your business and how to get you to the next level. If you do not already have a Providence Bank account, please speak with our business concierge.
Yeah, I just saw myself, right?
77-684-387 or email businessconcierge@providencebank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Providence Bank, future forward banking.
That never sleeps. You certainly can't predict the market by reading the daily newspaper, but you're buying businesses.
From the stock markets to the street markets, the rules of the trading game never changes. Only the players.
That is for sure.
Whether in running a small business shop or a multinational company, it's always about the simple answers to tough problems and closing deals around the clock. For an in-depth conversation on market movements on a global scale, tune in to The Marketplace and get a weekly breakdown of major business stories.
A review of this week's stock market.
Keep up with the actions of trading as we track down the big issues that affect your day-to-day decisions.
Especially from this part of gold because of lack of power.
It's the world of marketing. The Marketplace on Smooth 98.1 every Monday from 5:15 p.m.
You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Zibby here, and today is International Childhood Cancer Day. The theme is better survival, and we have two guests on the show this morning. Our guests are Dr. Fumilayo Fagbemide, a childhood cancer advocate, and Korede Akindele, who's the head of programs from the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. A few years ago, there was a singer, Michael Bublé, who reported that his child had been diagnosed with liver cancer. And I saw an interview that he'd done, and he talked about how he was unstable, he was vulnerable, he even had to take some time away from his career. And that makes me wonder, what are some of the challenges that families and even the children could deal with when it comes to childhood cancer?
Okay, so I am super grateful for that question. I would say that cancer in childhood is one of the most devastating things that can happen to any child or the parent or the caregiver. It takes a nation or a village to raise a child. So if one child comes down with cancer, it affects the parents, it affects even the colleagues at school, it affects the teachers, it affects literally everyone. And it's not just the psychological aspect of it. They tend to spend so much money, and especially in Nigeria, where you have to pay out of your pocket for every little thing that you have to do for the child. Even for the ones that present early, when they start doing investigations and they have to do one treatment or do that, before you know it, no matter how much you have saved, it starts to deplete, and before you know it, that causes its own financial stress. Aside that, every parent births a child so they can, grow old and outlive them. So that's another psychological aspect of being diagnosed, knowing that, oh, this child may or may not make it, or this child may not live life optimally the way the parents would have wanted it to be. So it's not easy, I would say. I see them all the time when they come into clinic, and though they try, most of them try to be strong, and because yes, you have to stay strong for the child, and it takes a mentally strong person to take care of a sick person. So that is another aspect. So regardless, it's something that I don't wish on anyone. But the good thing is, which is also why we try to raise the awareness or talk about it, most of the childhood cancers are curable when they come to the hospital early. If they present early, you follow through with your doctor's treatment care path, he has a chance of survival. But imagine a parent that maybe they're unemployed, or they have to pay out of pocket, even though they present to the hospital early. By the first month, second month, they don't have any more funds to take care of the child. The child stops coming to clinic and all of that. So it's just something that I don't wish on anyone, to be honest. And the thing is, that's why in most advanced countries, they do better there, because the government supports them. Sometimes they even offer them psychologists, to talk to them, support them. They have psychological support, they have financial support. Do you understand what I'm saying? And even the child environment, they have social service workers that come to check in on them. When you need help, they bring someone to assist you, because it's not something just one person can do. It is overwhelming. As compared to here, that you don't have all of that. So it's not something nice. That's why we always also tell people here in Dorcas Cancer Foundation, we try as much as possible to, book psychological support for the caregivers and the parents too. Every once in a while, you need to talk to someone. No matter how strong you think you are, you need to talk to someone. You need to, be able to let all of that feeling out, because that's the only way you can be able to help the child. If you're not strong yourself, there's no way you can help that child.
All right. I think a lot of humans, a lot of people need hope when they're going through a difficult situation. People want to know that there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. How, or are there instances that you can share perhaps of people who have been through the toughest of the tough and they've emerged?
Yes. Okay. I know we don't get so many stories like that, but they really do happen. I would be very honest. And the thing is, when they come, they're devastated, or when you tell them your child has cancer and it's a devastating news, and they are giving up and all crying and, all shattered. I've seen a parent that came in with a child, I think she's a 12-year-old. Yeah. She got diagnosed in secondary school, JS1 or JS2, thereabouts. It was cancer of the kidney, nephroblastoma. But the good thing is, as at the time they presented, it was still localized, which was very good. And despite their financial difficulty, they were able to raise funds, seek help here and there. That was how we got to know them in Dorcas Cancer Foundation, And the child, during the treatment, it was quite tough, because of course, while you're on treatment, you expect certain things to happen, like the child needing blood transfusion, coming down with infection, having to get prepared for surgery, and all of the money that you have to raise and all that. The mother actually gave up at some point, but because we had known the child, so we kept on calling, checking up on the child, even the parents. Sometimes we have to go visit them just to, give her that hope, like, you're almost at the end, you're almost done with the treatment, and all you just have to do is just come to clinic for follow-up. So us showing up and, you know, encouraging them, even sometimes when she doesn't have money, just bring the child to the hospital. Just bring the child here. Don't worry, everything will be fine. And I saw the child, I think it was last week. The child is doing very, very well, like extremely well. The last imaging, the last scan, the child is free. So if they didn't have that emotional support, if there was nobody there to help them forge on, I think they would have, you know, stopped coming to clinic. And, you know, cancer doesn't stay in one place. It's not going to like say, oh, they've treated it partially, I'm not going to spread. It's not going to say that. It will keep spreading. If they are not come here, it would have spread around the body, would have spread to the second kidney, and that would have been worse. The child would have died from it. But because, okay, yes, the child has cancer, but this cancer is still curable. It has a chance. So we don't get too many of these stories, but we have survivors, so many of them. So I would encourage people is don't give up. It's treatable, it's curable when you come early. That's what I would just, and it may seem tough. It may seem like it's never going to end. It may seem like, oh, you've gotten to the bottom, but just hold on to whatever hope, believe in God, and follow through your doctor's treatment plan, and you'll be fine. The child will be fine.
Okay, and I know at the start of the show we spoke about advances in cancer research. Are scientists any closer to actually telling us why or what causes cancer? We know how it's spread, but can scientists now tell us that this is a definite cause of cancer, especially in young children?
Okay,
okay, doctor, go ahead.
It's still work in progress, I must say, but cancer cells are also normal cells. So the body has been programmed to, you know, grow, divide, die, and then, you know, come alive again. That's like the normal programming. But just like the cells in the eye, they are programmed to grow, divide, you know, die again, and, you know, it's like a cycle. But unfortunately, some of these cells are, for some unknown reasons, they just don't follow that path. They grow, they divide, and rather than die, they don't die, and they keep dividing. While they are dividing, some of them divide into abnormal cells. Even when they divide into abnormal cells, sometimes they die off. And then sometimes when they divide into abnormal cells, they don't die off. So it depends on what part of the body the cells are. If it's in the eye, the eye cells, they develop into retinoblastoma and the likes. If it's in the kidney, they develop into nephroblastoma. It just depends on what, even in the liver, they develop into hepatocellular carcinoma. So it depends on what part of the body. And unfortunately, I tell parents that it's not something you did wrong or something you did right. It's nobody's fault. Sometimes these things just happen. I've seen people like, they don't even allow their children take chocolates. They don't allow their children play out in the open. You know, they've lived by the books, and even, you know, with the children, and still the children do come down with cancer. And I've seen people that have lived recklessly. I'm not saying that's good, and, you know, not care so much, and the children have turned out well. So it's not, and I see parents come in and blame themselves like, oh, is it because I gave him green tea? Is it because I allowed him do this? Is it because I allowed the child take chocolates and all of that? It is nobody's fault. Sometimes these things just happen, regardless of what you do right or what you do wrong.
All right, I've got a message coming through on WhatsApp. This one is Tade from Lekki. Tade says, is this cancer a hereditary condition?
In children, no. Not most likely, no, not really. In children, no. In adults, yeah, hereditary, yes. That he has a factor, but in children, they are still growing, so their cells are dividing, so these things are bound to happen.
Korede, do you want to add something? All right, let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981, and of course you can give us a ring. The phone number is 01 448 981. Korede?
Okay, I think Dr. Layo has said it on like adult cancer, whereby you can say, okay, there's a risk factor. Okay, this person smokes. Okay, don't smoke. For cervical cancers, okay, do you have a multiple sex partners or this like that? Have you taken HPV vaccines? Okay, for women, so you can. But for children, it's not like that. Like you said, it's something that just happened, and many people keep asking questions. Okay, is it what I eat when I was pregnant for this child? Okay, is this, you know, and like you she said, there is nothing you do that is wrong. It's just something that happened. And the thing is, it presents itself like every illness. All you just need to do, which is very, very important, and we keep advocating for, that every parent must pay attention to their children. And for us, we are trying as much as possible now to even extend the knowledge of cancer to schools, to teachers in schools, so that we are not telling anyone that when you see these things, don't nail any charge for cancer. No. Even our training to primary healthcare worker, we are not training them to treat cancer. We are not training them to diagnose cancer. We're just training them on common signs to look for. When you see these, this is what you should do. That's what, just refer, that's your own. And so that's what we're trying to do. So everybody needs to know about it. Everybody, okay, for breast cancer, you say, okay, if you find a lump, quickly just do this, because everyone was aware. But for children cancer, common signs like that, like she said, repeated illness, or abnormal growth, kind of high, that you see that is not looking fine, a child having repeated infection, that's a sign of leukemia. So those things are what parents should pay at. Every parent knows their child. And the truth is, children don't pretend. If a child is sick, the child is sick. Child is going to tell you, mommy, I have a headache. And so don't just ignore it when you've done this. So pay attention to your child's head. Take your child to a professional, a pediatrician. It is very, very important. When you take your child to the first contact, nothing is happening, please get a referral to a pediatrician who will now tell you, okay, you know what, something is wrong.
All right, thank you for that. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. I see your messages coming through. You can keep them coming. 0809 444 0981. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1.
Future forward banking.
Back on in 2 minutes. Thank you.
What does future forward banking mean to you? Speed, innovation, convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting service that is designed just for you? Yeah, we thought you might like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providus Bank for you, to take care of your daily experiences. At Providus Bank, we believe that banking should be all about you and your business, and how to get you to the next level. If you do not already have a Providus Bank account, please speak with our business concierge on 0700 77 684 387, or email businessconcierge@providusbank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Providus Bank, future forward banking.
Stop breaker.
Hello, everybody. I'm Colin the support. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. Extraordinary things.
One secret about smart business owners: they seek out smart solutions that help them deliver prompt quality service to their customers. Smart solutions like the Airtel Smart Box that provides unlimited high-speed internet connection for up to 32 devices with 240 gigabyte free data. The Smart 2. Visit any Airtel store now or send an email to smartbox@ng.airtel.com to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Here, 1, 2, 3, 4.
The smooth ride home. Come on, right here on your dial. 98.1.
I love my radio. My radio is my all-day companion.
Infectious rhythm, making you move.
It's all about your big songs.
The right kind of music, and of course,
It's all about your fresh news and information.
all the information I can get, all the news I can get. From the house to the car to meetings.
And it's all about the great ingredients you need for your journey home.
Lots of horrendous traffic stress.
The smooth drive home, right here every weekday from 4 p.m.
And I just want to listen all day long.
Hey, what's going on, people? This is Uzi Quendu. You are now listening to Smooth Breakfast.
You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Today is International Childhood Cancer Day. Now, projections show that Africa will account for nearly 50% of all the global childhood cancer cases by 2050. The World Health Organization says 700,000 people have lost their lives or lose their lives every year to cancer here in Africa. Special guests, Korede Akindele, Head of Programs, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation, and Dr. Fumilayo Fagbemide, Childhood Cancer Advocate. I've got a message coming through and I want to read this one out. It's from Tosin, and Tosin says, my question is, even with early detection, what is the survival rates?
Okay, thank you. The truth is the survival rate of childhood cancer is up to 80%. If it is properly treated, that is it. If it is early detected, properly treated, we've seen cases. I mean, from our end, we have survivors. We've seen stage 4 today that is a survivor. So the survival rate, children do survive cancer because their prognoses are always good. But when it is properly managed, because one of the things we've also seen is mismanagement of these cases, which is one of the things that is so painful. And so if it is not well managed, I mean, we've seen cases where, and it's not even the problem, it can be as a result of funding. Most times, it's a result of funding, as a result of access to care. For example, we have a child we are working with now. They had to travel from the north to Lagos to be able to have access to better care. So these are factors that affect us. In Nigeria, we have good hands. I mean, when it comes to pediatric oncologists that treat children cancer, though they are few, but the hands that we have, they are good hands. But most times before these cases are presented to them, there has been a lot of trial and error somewhere. And that's why we try as much as possible to let parents know that, see, when your child is being, when you get this news, please go to a teaching hospital. That is where they can handle, that is where the professional is. So survival rate is up to 80%. I mean, we are, in fact, even in developed world now, they are not even discussing this, they are not discussing survival again, they're discussing the future of the child, because because it's high there. But the problem is here, we still have like 30%, 40%, we are still dangling as a result of different kind of factors that affected funding, access to care, equipment, facilities. Those are still some little challenges that is still struggling. We struggle with in Nigeria, but survival rate of childhood cancer is up to 80% if it is well managed.
Okay, just to sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Just to buttress what Korede just said, survival rate is highly dependent on so many factors like finance, access to good healthcare, access to medical equipment and all of that, which the developed countries, they have access to. Once you have insurance in developed country, all you have to do is just take yourself to the hospital, and then the government is going to take it up from there. So that takes off the financial, burden of the parents and help them focus more on the psychological aspects of treatment and, you know, follow through with care. But unfortunately, yeah, that's why our mortality rate is still quite high. The mortality rate is not high because the doctors don't know what they are doing or because it can't be cured. The mortality rate is high because before they get to the hospital, they've wasted their time. They've taken so many about concussions. They've taken the child to the church. They've done all sorts and, you know, financial houses and, religious houses and all of that. And by the time they present to the hospital, yes, the child has now been diagnosed. Okay, let's start treatment. And then there's a problem of funds too. And after the problem of funds, there's a problem of superstitions and all sorts that you have to deal with as a doctor. So I think in Africa, it's not even just about the financial part. It's about the parents' mentality, what they believe, their beliefs and all of that. So all of this contribute to the high mortality rates in Africa and Nigeria too. So if we can get the government to fund healthcare, especially everybody keeps talking about breast cancer, look out for this, but nobody's really hammering on childhood cancer. Nobody's saying so much about it, the way they are hammering on prostate cancer in men and breast cancer in women. Like everywhere you go, oh, lump, before you know it, the mother is going to, but how about the child? I feel like we're not talking about childhood cancer enough, and so the awareness is low, which is contributing to the high mortality. So if we can get all of that out of the way, if the government can help fund childhood cancers. Like, so the parents know, oh, money is out the way. All they need to do is bring the child here. That way, they will even be reluctant, because sometimes when they present early to the healthcare center, you direct them to, the tertiary institution, and then they start thinking about the money. They take the child back home and start doing alternatives. So that way, it starts spreading, and the prognosis gets worse.
It's amazing. Okay, go ahead, please.
You can ask a question.
Okay, you answered a question I was going to ask, because I wanted to ask if cultural factors perhaps play a role 100%. in diagnosis and treatment, but you answered it, so thank you.
100%, because most times when the child even comes, aside the fact that the child has cancer, when you do the liver function test and you check the child's kidneys, you have that to deal with too, because they've given the child all sorts, herbal concoctions, drink this, drink that from this and that. So you have the cancer to deal with, you have the renal compromise and the liver compromise to deal with too. So cultural factor plays a very huge role. You have no idea. So it hurts that cancer in children is curable. It's something that can be dealt with, but then you have all these extra strings and attachments that you have to, sort out and deal with, which that alone is a major factor in the treatment and the outcome of the child. So I think we need to talk even more on that. Like, when the child is ill or something, I know everybody believes in the superpower and the higher power and all of that, but you should also listen to your doctor. And if you don't feel good about what this doctor is telling you, it is your right. You can always seek second opinion. Go some other place. When you hear two people's opinion, you sit and think about it. Don't take too long thinking about it.
Okay.
But you sit and analyze it, and okay, yes, if two people are saying the same thing, then it is this, and you start acting on that.
All right, let's go on to the phone lines. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? All right. All right, Abbas, go ahead, please.
The topic is kind of scary, when it relates to children. I think the question I want to ask is, at what point do parents need to check the children, where maybe if they have gotten the first and second opinion on the health issue of the child? Like, for instance, maybe your child fell sick some time ago, you took him to a doctor. Then sometime later, he fell sick again, and you have to take him to another person. And still, the two of them have only come up with some other diagnosis or whatever. So at what point should the parent now decide to go for a test? Is it that the parent can go on his own to conduct a test to be sure that it is not even cancer? And then what kind of test do those parents need to run at that instance?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abbas, for that question. You see, the thing is, when your child is sick, the doctor that treats a child is a pediatrician. Even Dr. Fagbemide is not a pediatrician. She cannot see your child when your child is sick. So when you've taken your child to 2 hospitals and you're not getting the kind of result that you want, like she said, you have a right to take that child to another hospital where you will see a pediatrician. Ask for referral. And one of the best places to get them is in teaching hospital. For example, Lagos here, we know Lut, we know Lasso, is in teaching hospital. When you get there, tell them you want to see a pediatrician. A pediatrician knows what he or she is looking for. It's not like it's trying to do, okay, you get there, I've seen this. They give you direct answers to your question. So instead of trying to, because if you take the child yourself and say, you know what, I listened to some people on radio, they said, so what do you know that you want to look for when they give it to you? Somebody has to tell you the kind of test you need to go and do. There's not just a random, there's a particular test that needs to be done for this to know that, okay, this is a cancer and this is what you need to do. So please, when you have cases like that, you've seen 2 doctors, please go to a teaching hospital. Request to see a pediatrician. It is a pediatrician, when he or she conduct the test and see the result of what is going on, that's when the person can now direct you to go see a pediatric oncologist. That's where you now move into a cancer center where experts that are treating cancer in children can handle your child, from pediatric oncology to radiation oncologist to surgery and all like that. So that's the process flow. If you're having this, Mr. Abbas, please go to a teaching hospital, see a pediatrician.
All right, thank you for that. Doctor, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay, so like in life, there's a ladder. At first, when the child is sick, you won't just, pick up the child and take the child to a pediatric oncologist or a pediatrician and whatnot. The child can present to a private hospital or a healthcare professional. But if they've treated the same thing once and you as a parent, you don't feel good and you would like a second opinion, even the doctor is versed, he knows his colleagues and he knows the appropriate center to refer you to. So if the doctor or the healthcare professional is treating the child and the child is not getting better, you can ask the doctor or the healthcare professional to refer you to a tertiary center, because that way it's not just you scoping the child and taking the child there. They are going to write you a letter or referral that contains everything they've done, what the child presented with, and what they've done so far. That would also guide whosoever you're going to see in the tertiary center. So if you go to the first doctor and the first doctor tells you this, you go to another doctor and it tells you something like conflicting thing entirely, you can ask to see a pediatrician. They have been trained to take care of children. All they think, breathe, and do is about children. So they, half the time, don't go wrong. So what a general practitioner will see and dismiss, a pediatrician is going to say, I know, yeah, this is a red flag. So that's part of what we are doing in Dorcas Cancer Foundation too. We need to tell people, the healthcare professional, whoever you're going to be seeing first, needs to also know the red flag, because it's when they know the red flag, they'll be able to appropriately refer you to the right person for you to see. And we don't usually encourage parents to, just scoop the child and take the child for random tests, because when you do that, you take the result to who you shouldn't be taking the result to. So it's best for you to present to the hospital. I know when you're paying out of your pocket is a lot of financial strain, but we all usually advise, take the child to the hospital, because when you do this test, a doctor needs to interpret the results accurately. Because if I do the test now and take the results to a quack, when there's a problem, they can tell me there's no problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you need to take the results to the appropriate person that will be able to look through the results and accurately diagnose and say, oh, this is beyond me. I need to send this child to this person. This is beyond me. This is where I think the child should go to. And if you think that is being stalled, you as a parent can ask for that. Like, oh, doctor, we've been treating this thing for maybe a week or two. Is there a way, like, can you refer us to a pediatrician or can we see someone else?
Okay.
There's a way you talk to the doctor and then they will refer you. It doesn't have to be, oh no, I must stay here, this and that. Sometimes you have to leave your comfort zone. I'm not going to lie,
Okay, doctor, let's take a phone call. Good morning. Good morning. Name and location, please. All right, Chika, go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, let me thank your guests for the wonderful job they're doing. They should keep it up. But my question is this. We know that cancer has actually come a long way. And we know what cancer has been able to do to the world at large. So my question is this. What has been the development or what has been the contribution of scientists in the quest to say that we eradicate cancer in the world as a whole? And I ask this question because we've had more, should I say, more ailments that are more severe or that are even, let me use the word severe. We've had COVID-19, we've had, what's it called, Ebola and all sorts. And in this short while, we actually had a vaccine or a cure for these ailments or diseases. Why has there not been maybe a kind of a concrete step in making sure that we come up with a kind of vaccine or a drug, a permanent cure for cancer? Because, like I said, it's come a long way. And I don't think we should begin to maybe kind of begin to throw this out. I believe that by now we should be able to have a kind of cure, a vaccine, to actually make sure that we eradicate cancer or that we actually bring it to a minimal level. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your phone call.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. I think research is going on. That's it. Research is going on every day. Every day, new drugs have been developed. Every day, new information is out there. Unlike, I mean, I'm talking about the developed world. Research is going on every day to discover better ways of how cancer can be managed. So it's a continuous thing. It's a progress thing. But all we need to do for us in Africa, we are still even trying to report the numbers we are saying. So when we talk about vaccines of cancers, we cannot be discussing that here in Africa, because what we are still, late presentation is still, lack of awareness is still on the high side. You understand? But in the developed world, the truth is research are going on every day. Scientists are working very hard on it to preserve the future of the children. So we hope very soon, like WHO goal, which is by 2030, there should be up to 60% reduction in childhood cancer. So we look forward to that, and we hope that our country, our continent too, can also record that.
All right, I want to ask Doctor, with breast cancer, there's the pink ribbon that's a sort of symbol for showing support and awareness of the cause. Is there anything like that when it comes to childhood cancers, that people, like a symbol that people can wear or something to show that they are in some way expressing their support or understanding of childhood cancer?
Okay, so with childhood cancer, that's the gold ribbon.
Okay.
I'm not sure Korede has one on right now. It's gold. For children, the color is gold. So it's the gold ribbon that signifies childhood cancer. And to further speak on what the caller asked, research is for life. You're not going to ever stop researching. You're not going to ever stop asking questions. You're not going to stop preferring answers. You're not going to stop finding solutions to problems. And while that is ongoing, we're not going to say, oh yes, we are, in depth, we're trying to find the cure for or what is causing cancer while neglecting the cure. Because while you're finding out the cause, what is causing this thing, it won't stop happening and people will still keep coming down with cancer. So while that is ongoing, that's why we try as much as possible to, do both simultaneously. While we're finding the cause, let's also proffer solutions to the one that is already on ground. The cancer that we have now, we need to be sure or make sure that the people that have come down with it, they don't die from it. And like Korede said earlier, in developed world, they're not even just talking about survival. They're talking about the child's quality of life. Like after you have survived, you have to be able to live life optimally, like 100%. It would affect the fact that the person has come down with cancer. Unlike here in Africa, that we're still trying to let the child just survive this and all of that. So we are getting there. I must say that we are not where we were, but I know we're taking giant stride. Before I would say baby steps, but now we're taking giant stride. And I think we are doing well. If we continue at this pace, but we can do better, I think we would also match up with the developed countries, I believe.
All right, I have just about a minute. I want to ask this. What is the effect of policy and legislation on childhood cancer here in Nigeria?
Okay, so policy and legislation, I would say that's a very, very key aspect in treating, in care, whatever, because if there's a policy like, oh, all parents must, enroll their children in the health insurance scheme, that's good, because that way they don't have to pay out of their pocket. If there's a policy that says, oh, when your child is sick, you have to do certain things, or like there's a laid down ground policy, like when this happens as a parent, this is what you should do. And if you don't do that, there are penalties for it. I think that also will go a long way in reducing the helping the prognosis and increasing survival rates. So I think policy is one of the key aspects that we're also still trying to hammer on and get them more on board. They're on board, but we just need more response from them.
All right, well, that is all the time that we have, but I have to say thank you so much to our guests, Korede Akindele, Head of Programs, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation, and Dr. Fumilayo Fagbemide, Childhood Cancer Advocate and Medical Doctor. It's been a very enlightening conversation, and thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.